glad to talk to you today because I thought this is a beautiful movie, and
Oh, thank you.
you're having a really good week because I've been reading, about all the nominations, all the accolades the movie is getting, well deserved.
Thank you so much.
So I think, when we see something, especially like me, you see something early, you kind of feel like you're on the early end of it, and so when it
Hmm.
people start noticing, you feel a little bit of ownership with it, I guess. Um,
That's great.
so congratulations on that. How does that feel?
It feels tremendous. It feels slightly unreal. It's been a crazy year, so this is just another another facet to that. But yeah, I'm just so thrilled that people, especially the actors, that they're getting noticed. All these different things that when you're working on set, you just hope you're setting up a good story and you're setting up actors for their best performances. And when you start seeing recognition for that, I mean, it just feels tremendous.
Yeah. Now this story, what I've read, is slightly autobiographical. It's inspired, I guess, by your life. So what
Mhm.
parts? I think one part of it I read that your family was involved in the sexing of the
Yeah.
chickens. So were there other parts about there? Did you have the health issues that the boy does?
Um, a lot of the things that you see in the film do start off from memories of things that actually happened. Um, I mean, with for instance the heart thing, that's kind of very exaggerated and dramatized for the sake of the story, and that's where it's been hard for me to really describe what's authentic, or I mean, what's actual based on real life and what's fictionalized, because um, so much of it is still personal and
Right.
authentic to the way I see the world and who I am, and all those things. But memories are really the fabric of it. That's like the basis of it.
Yeah. Um, well, one of the part I write for an outlet, and we look at all types of movies and entertainment from a faith perspective, and there's quite a bit of
Mhm.
religious life in this, and
Mhm.
faith influence in it. Is that part? Was that part of your journey too?
Certainly. I mean, I grew up grew up in the church, grew up going to church, and my parents dropped me off at that First Baptist Church of Lincoln, Arkansas, so that we could learn English and they could go and work in the chicken hatcheries every Sunday. Um, so we kind of grew up within the church and the community, and it was such a big part of the community in Lincoln, Arkansas. Um, and then as I got older, the Koreans in the community also started a Korean church, and it was tiny. It's a very small church, but the Koreans who were there as chicken sexers or college students, they kind of banded together and started this church. So I was going to church 2 days a week because the Koreans, for some reason, they had to meet on Saturday because all the chicken sexers would work on Sundays. So that's kind of how I grew up, and it's stuck with me. It's something that I am still, I can't, I see things through that perspective. So
Yeah.
naturally, if I'm going to wrestle with a story, I'm going to wrestle with it on those terms as well. And I didn't want this to be like a story that is just preaching the Christian faith, or trying to preach to the choir in a way. But it's something I'm just trying to be very personal with it and talk about my own faith and the ways in which I wrestle with faith, and um, at least take faith seriously through the work. If that makes sense.
Right. I think there's an authenticity with that. I think you're probably near my age, but 20 years ago there were people who were so nervous about portraying faith that they would strip a story of it if it called for it. And
Hmm.
the average person in this country, or faith plays a lot in development of people. So when you
Yeah.
leave it in, to me, I always encourage that because it feels authentic. It's not that we're pushing an agenda, but to not ignore it.
It's a real part of people's lives for sure. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. We often ignore it, but I think the more that we explore it in a healthy way, maybe there would be less of this conflict about it as well in this country.
Right. And I think stories you get to know people better, when you see where people come from.
I
The
hope
one
so.
part I noticed, the Michael W. Smith song Friends, because I grew up listening. The first two or three notes, I was like, I know that song. I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you real quick. I got to wrap it up here. But you have a very realistic portrayal of the grandmother in the story, and she does a phenomenal job where she's
Yeah.
feisty, and then
She's
all of a
amazing.
sudden she has this issue with her. You want to talk about that transformation and what that does to the family?
Um, yeah, I kind of knew that would be where the story heads to, where you see this family um, somehow moving in one direction, and the grandmother ends up, things go poorly for her. Um, it kind of comes out of a very personal place, that idea of that story. I mean, that comes from memory of what my grandmother went through as I reflect back, and her experience of coming to this place. She came to America to take care of us, essentially. My parents were busy at work, and my sister and I were on our own, so we needed her to be there for us. And she largely had an anonymous life here in the U.S. But I look back, and she's a real hero. Um,
Right.
I wanted to capture that feeling within the film of someone who comes in and who completely overthrows the way that this family is operating, and to do it in a way that introduces maybe a new type of wisdom to the family of um, maybe the way that they need to be, and the way they need to love each other, and the way that they also need to hold and remember traditions. So she embodies quite a lot, and Yoon Yo Jung, her performance of her is just perfect. Yeah, working with her was just such a treat, and the way that she did that, and she did it with such grace and professionalism, and it was just astounding watching her every day on set. That would keep me going. So I really appreciate that it stood out to you.
Thank you
Yeah,
for this film. It's beautiful. I think it's a gift, and congratulations on everything. We're just looking for bigger and bigger things coming your way. So
thank you,
thank you so
Gwen.
much.
Thanks so much. Yeah, all the best to you.
All right, let's cut. And Isaac, just a quick reminder. I know it's a little strange, but with Zoom, if you could try your best.